Are you new to fish keeping? Maybe you just got your first aquarium, or maybe you are about to get an aquarium and you want to learn how to set it up. Well, today I'm going to give you 5 steps on what to do as you set up your first aquarium. Hey fish friends, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Zenzo from Tazawa Tanks. Now before I get into the list of what to do to set up your first aquarium, I do want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Into the AM. As you can see, I'm wearing my Into the AM t-shirt. This is a new design that they have with an astronaut doing some fishing. So there's a kind of fish around there. And I've got kind of my Galaxy Into the AM hat. Into the AM is a team of artists and creators that formed an apparel company to share a common vision of developing premium apparel that elevates self-expression while focusing on comfort by using the highest quality materials and eco-friendly inks. Into the AM has dozens of cool designs to choose from, covering many categories including t-shirts and tank tops, hoodies and jackets, hats, and even joggers and shorts. Use the link and discount code below to shop at Into the AM and find your clothing piece to express what drives you. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is you want to think about the tank size. Now, maybe you already bought the tank, and in that case, hopefully you've thought a lot about it beforehand. But if you haven't bought the tank yet, then I want to have you pause right here and really think about the tank size that you're going to get. My advice, get the largest tank that you can afford and fit in your space. And you'll thank me later. Maybe you think, oh, I just want to kind of get into this. I'm going to start off with a 10-gallon tank or a 16-gallon all-in-one kit. Most likely, if you do that, 3 months from now, 6 weeks from now, 6 months down the road, you are going to get another aquarium or multiple aquariums. It's very common. Most people do it, especially when they're just starting out. So my advice is get a larger aquarium, because the larger the fish tank, the more options you have on the type of fish that you can keep, multiple types of fish, and you are less likely to wish that you bought a larger tank down the road. So the largest tank that you can fit and afford, and if it's something where affordability is a little bit, you're not quite there, then I would say wait another month or so, save up a little bit more money so that you can get the larger system, because ultimately down the road, you're gonna be happy about that. Okay, so now you've saved up your money, you've got the largest aquarium that you can afford and fit. Now let's talk about fitting that aquarium in your home. Now, depending on where you live, there could be some limiting factors. Maybe you are an apartment and you are on the 20th floor, so you can't have a 240-gallon aquarium up there, but maybe you can have a 55-gallon aquarium or a 40 breeder. So depending on where you live, obviously that's gonna dictate where you're putting your aquarium and the size of the aquarium. But where you put it is going to be very important. So you want to think about water. Is it going to be easy for you to access water, to do water changes, meaning to fill? So if you're using a python or some type of hose, is there a sink nearby or some type of water source nearby for you to easily fill your aquarium? And in the same sense, is there an easy way for you to drain your aquarium? Yes, you can drain into buckets and things like that, but for anyone that's done that for any period of time, we know that draining water into a bucket and lifting those heavy buckets and pouring them into a sink or a toilet or whatever it might be is not fun, and you really want to have a way of moving water in and out of your aquarium easily. Submersible pumps, pythons, hoses. So just make sure that you're close enough to where you can run a hose or something to and from the aquarium. Another thing to think about is sunlight. So you want to make sure that wherever you put your aquarium in your home or office or whatever it might be is not getting direct sunlight, or if you are getting direct sunlight on that tank, it's something that you are able to control, like by closing blinds or shade or shutters. Maybe you want that sunlight to hit that tank for an hour or so per day for plant growth, but you don't want it there all the time because you're going to have algae growth. So away from sunlight is best, because then you can use aquarium lights and control the lights properly. And then the last thing that you want to think about when it comes to placement is, will you enjoy where the aquarium is? I've seen plenty of people that set up wonderful aquariums and they put them in their sitting room that's in the front of the house, and no one goes in there except for when there's company. And that's happened to me before. Many years ago, I had an aquarium in the front room. No one went in that room, and the tank didn't get the same love as other tanks that were in places where people could enjoy them more. So put it in a place where you can sit, enjoy, relax with them. The kids can see them, guests can see them, and it's not just somewhere tucked away that might look good on paper, but in reality, it's not the best spot. The number 3 thing on my list is plants. No matter what you do, my advice is to find a way to grow live aquarium plants in your aquarium. You can see behind me and around that there are a lot of aquariums that have plants, even for fish that might not be so friendly to plants. So for example, African cichlids or certain larger cichlids from Central South America. There are some fish that are very hard on plants or they'll eat plants. So do your research and figure out a way to have plants in your aquarium or that are being able to draw water from your aquarium, even if those fish might be a little bit rough on plants. So for example, with African cichlids, it might be something where you have like pothos growing out of it, or you might be able to grow plants out of a filter, or you have some type of floating plant that the fish don't eat, or you set up your aquarium and plant it heavily with something very robust like jungle valsinaria, and that way once you add your fish in there, the plants are super established and they're not going to have a chance to dig them up or eat them or something like that. The reason why I suggest it is, one, it offers wonderful aesthetic value. So it's very nice to be able to look into your aquarium and see the live plants growing. But additionally, it's going to really help you when it comes to caring for your aquarium. Mainly, it's going to be removing nitrates and phosphates from your water column by absorbing them as fertilizer. So if you have lots of live plants in your aquarium, it means less maintenance for you. You'll probably have less algae and just overall being able to enjoy it more because the plants are doing a lot of the work for you. Now, when it comes to aquarium plants, you can obviously buy them at your local fish store. You can also order them online. I happen to get mine from aquariumcoop.com, and they usually get them to you within 2 or 3 business days, depending on where you live. So definitely try live aquarium plants. Number 4. That was terrible. 3, 2, 1. Number 4 on the list is cycle. Now you might have heard about the aquarium cycle, the nitrogen cycle, letting your aquarium cycle. Basically what you want to do is you want the tank to be established with beneficial bacteria so that when you put fish in there and those fish have waste, you know, fish poop or decaying food or some other organic matter, that you don't have a big spike of nitrite and ammonia which could kill your fish. You want to make sure that you have lots of beneficial bacteria in there that are able to consume them and convert them to nitrates. Now there are lots of videos online about the nitrogen cycle, but basically just make sure that your tank has been cycled, that it has enough time without fish in there to allow the bacteria in there to absorb the fish waste once you add fish. Maybe I'll put a link down below in the description on a couple of resources on how to cycle your aquarium or kind of understand the nitrogen cycle process, but make sure that you take your time. So don't buy your fish tank and then the next day go to the fish store and the fish store saying, yeah, you can buy fish. You bought your tank yesterday, you set it up. Yeah, it might be okay now, but 2 weeks later, you're gonna have a big spike of ammonia, your fish are gonna die, and you're gonna have all types of problems, and you're gonna be unhappy. So take your time, set up your tank, plant your plants, get everything dialed in, wait a few weeks, let those plants get established, and then you can add fish to your aquarium. Okay, so now you've gone through all those steps. You've saved for the largest aquarium that you can afford. You fit it perfectly in the right place. You got lots of aquarium plants growing. Your tank is cycled. It's ready for fish. Now it's time for you to get fish. Well, hopefully you've done your research and you've kind of decided what type of fish you want. So that's my first advice, is make sure you've done your homework enough to understand kind of the type of fish that you want, not necessarily specifically the fish that you're gonna get. If you go to a local fish store, those fish are usually well cared for. They're gonna really help you. Their best interest is to ensure that you're getting the right pet for your aquariums and that you're gonna be set up for success. So going to a local fish store would be the best way to go. Otherwise, you could go to some of the larger big box stores where they have, you know, all types of pet supplies for dogs, cats, birds, reptiles, etc., and fish. You could get them there. They're generally not as focused on aquatics, so they're, depending on the employee, you may or may not have someone that's really understanding of what you're trying to do, but at least you can go to a large big box store and see the fish in person, pick out the healthy ones and get them. And then lastly, you can do it online. So if you don't have a local fish store, if they just don't have the fish that you're looking for, then you can shop online, and I've made videos about how to buy fish online, and I'll put a link to that up here or down below in the description. So those are my 5 tips on what to do when you're setting up your new aquarium. Hopefully this was helpful. It's a wonderful hobby. It's something that you should enjoy for a long, long time. I've been in this hobby for decades now, and I still enjoy it. So take your time, do your research, and set up the tank that in a fashion and in a way that you really think you're gonna enjoy it long term, and hopefully you will for many more years to come. There is one more bonus tip that I have for you, especially if you're new to fish keeping. I've learned the hard way a couple of times, and that is don't do water changes when your significant other is home. So if your wife is home, your husband, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, try, unless they're into fish, which is cool if they are, but if they just tolerate it, it's better if you do your water changes and your maintenance when they're not home. Ask me how I know. I've spilled water on the floor. I've done all kinds of crazy things with my wife home. She was not happy. I've also done some significant spills and things when she wasn't home, when I cleaned it all up before she got home, and not a peep. So that's my little bonus tip, is do all that stuff when you're home alone so no one can give you a hard time when things go south. If you want to learn more about aquariums, especially if you're a beginner fish keeper, then watch this video right here. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Nope.